Hello. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to tame forest fires in India. So instead of looking at them destructive in nature, how we can look at these forest fires positively in Indian context. So basically, when we talk of forest fires in India, they usually start before the start of summer season. That's in the period of March month. Is the time where this forest fire begins in India, and these forest fires mostly occur in the regions of in the areas where dried deciduous forests are present. For example, it is mostly occur in states like Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Odisha kind of states. Because in these states, due to the rainfall not available during the dry season, the leaves gets very dry and they will fall off. This provides perfect fuel for the spread of forest fires in this region. Okay. And in the case of in India, tropical dry forest, it basically covers the scrubs, savanna grasslands, dry and moist deciduous forest types. And these are the kind of forests which cover maximum area in India, like maximum forest area in the country. That is roughly 70% of forest in India are of this type. So there is very high probability of catching a forest fire in India due to these forest fires. And if we see carefully, the indigenous species which is present in this dry forest have co-evolved with the forest fires. Their adaptations to the forest fires are the barks, which are having very thick and spongy bark, and they also sprout from the rootstock easily after the fire has happened. So in that way, they have adapted naturally to the forest fires in these regions. So coming next to the major reasons for the forest fires in India are like this. There is very minimal equipment in challenging terrain. Okay, this is with respect to the forest officials or the local people who wanted to control the fire, but they just couldn't do because of the challenging terrain. Naturally, in India, most of the forests they are located at very hilly areas. Like we could take example of Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, Orissa regions. They are present in the Eastern Ghats section, where the terrain is not flat. It is difficult to access some of the remotest place. Same is the case with Karnataka and Maharashtra, where the Western Ghats, the leeward side of the Western Ghats, are covered with the dry deciduous forest. They are difficult to access. Right. In India, we do have still the colonial mindset in the case of forest management, wherein we keep the stocks, that is the uh, forest stocks, free from the fire, and also whenever there is a fire occurrence, the management of the forest they keep publishing the reports on the statistics of the destroyed trees. So there is the significance of this one is that we as a state we try to prevent the forest fire at any cost. Sometimes these forest fires are inevitable and they are required to keep the forest in healthy condition. And another reason majorly for this forest fire is there is a strictly no fire policy from the forest department. And the implication of this completely blanket ban or no forest policy is this. Basically, the forest department, as a forest department, we are trying to use the same approach, that is the one size fit all approach, which is incompatible with the ecology of Indian's dry forest. So that is the same approach we have been using for all kinds of forest areas. For example, when there is a spread of invasive species from one forest to another forest, where it is an alien species to the where it becomes an alien species in the destination, that may result in the spread of more forest fire. For example, in the case of Karnataka's Bandipur Reserve and Biligiri Reserve area, due to the strict no fire policy, eh, the invasive species of Lantana camera has spread to the neighboring Bandipur Reserve, and this invasive species has become an ample fuel in the case of forest fire. Now, by implementing no fire policy in the region of Nilgiri Tiger Reserve area, this invasive species has spread to the nearby Bandipur Reserve and affecting the forest area in that Bandipur region. So to avoid this, low intensity fire in the original Nilgiri Reserve could have prevented any such invasive species spread. So local tribal experience is very much useful in finding out such scenarios. Also, in fact, any early low intensity dry season fires are much far less detrimental to vegetation than a peak dry season fire, which were much shorter. So in this case, before any peak summer starts, the low intensity of fire, which controls the spread of invasive species, is much helpful. Now coming to the wielders of forest fires in India, like who are the main initiators of forest fires in India apart from the natural causes? So there are majorly three stakeholders as a wielders of forest fires in India. They are the forest dwellers who resides in the forest. They initiate the forest fire. They initiate the fire for clearing the pathways for walking and for non-timber gathering for their livelihood, or for the fresh growth of grass for their livestock, and in some cases for the ritual practices. So this is basically a cultural livelihood significance for the forest dwellers. In the case of agriculturists, they burn the hill forest so that the ash from this forest will be flooded during the time of monsoon to their agriculture, helping in the fertility of their soil. So this is an economic significance for the agriculturists. And in the case of forest department officials who start the fire, they burn the and before the onset of summer, they usually burn the forest fire lines to protect the valuable timber compartments. And in the recent times, the fire has been used as a tool to increase wild herbivorous density rather than the cattle in the forest. And this is made by uh, burning the area so that a fresh grass can be grown in the region, and this will be helpful in the growth of the wild herbivorous population inside the forest. And this has resulted in a conflict between the contesting groups in the fire building power contesting groups, like by enacting a legislation which has made the forest fire setting an offense. Forest department has gradually legitimized the other worldview of looking forest as a timber and wild production systems. So this has enabled the forest department to make it an offense against other people but not against themselves. So they have basically ignored the other views such as for those forest dwellers or agriculturists who view them as a cultural and livelihood spaces. And the way forward for these forest fires is there should be a balance between both the sides. Basically, forest managers should expand their worldview of forest fires from just viewing it as a destructive in nature, and instead they should be more inclusive to information from ecological and local knowledge systems, which view forest as being both rejuvenating and revitalizing. Okay, thank you.